Okay, so let's look at this order. The star, this is Ksav Yad, Kurdish from Rebbe. So let's look. So in the Pnimi said like this, it's a gewaltige, like bomb at the end. So the Eibishter did not fulfill Moshe Rabbeinu's request. That he wanted there should be the Amshach of Matnas Chinam on his level, the high Madrege Matnas Chinam. The Mata, why? Because they need Avodah Samata. But then he concludes that in the end, through Avodah, Mashiach comes, and that's Moshe Rabbeinu, Geil Rishon, Geil Acharon. And the way Mashiach comes, he's implying, comes in these, first of all, he says in both Mailas, B'ita, about Achishena, B'ita, God ends the Golos. That's implying completely Milamayla Lamata. And then the Maila of Achishena hastened because you didn't do tshuva, and it's their avodah, the Miyadin Igolin. And there's a Maila in each one, and it's the same. First time I saw this, I've always been saying this, a kind of both in Yonim happening L'Poyel, and never says it here. Now, then he goes on to say, let's look at the last few lines of the Maimon. Until now, he was saying that Shabbos is in of Matnas Chinam. Which darge? The higher darge, right? Right? And then the Shabbos, as it is in the weekday, that's the lower darge of Matnas Chinam, where it's talking Matnas Chinam, but it involves Avodah, Tachanun, and so on. Now he says, end of the Maimon, that there's something higher in Shabbos. Higher than Matnas Chinam. It's a big shayla. I mean, the Shabbos is a matana. He quoted earlier in the Maimon from the Gemara. Matana, Tova Yeshi Beis Gonzai. I have a good, beautiful gift. And he told Moishe, tell the Yidden. Now he says, no, that there is a darge higher even than Matnas Chinam. And now he goes and says even more. Like these Yechem Levatel Kol HaGzeiros. In the face of this level, all the Gzeiros, including, is implying here the Gzeira, the Eibishter swore that Moshe Rabbeinu won't go to Yisrael. He's clearly addressing that in the order. I mean, if I'm learning Pshat right. But then he adds even more, Gam Gimel HaShavuos Shel Yitchos HaKetz. One of the oaths Yidden took going into Golus is they should not push the end of Golus, come back by force. Ya'ala B'chayma, come back like in a wall of strength. So there's a darge l'mayla, a Shabbos dike madrege, which is higher than even these shvuos that Eibishter made us swear. Mevatel these shvuos. He's implying the shvuah that he made for Moishe and the shvuos that he adjured us. And Umasa'ila, remember the three shvuos? Huh? You gotta know this, it's like bread and butter. Number one, they should not come back in force, as he said. Number two, they should not rebel against the Goyim, be subservient in Golus. And three, he made the Ummos swear that they would not subjugate Yidden Yosem Yadai. So one of the tinus, yeah, I told you, one of the answers that we can come back by force is because the Ummos didn't keep their Tanai. So the whole thing unravels. It's a weak taina, but it's one of the tainas. This is a whole polemic in the contemporary Yiddishkeit. You know, the whole coming back by force, the Zionism, etc. So the whole the basic resistance is not because it's Freie Yidden that are non-observant Jews that are basically run the government. It's not the issue at all. The issue is the Oivan Gimel Shavuos. The whole thing came by violence and force. And the counter arguments back and forth, and then there's a shit of the Rebbe that's very nuanced. If you want to see it, I think it's available online. My nephew, it's Kedai to learn. Meliובאוויטש has to be familiar with this. he wrote the Pastic, Yitzhak Napasik in Fort Lauderdale. You can see it online, or I can get it sent to you and post it. He wrote a nice piece exploring the Rebbe Shita and the whole Shaila that it changed. The Rebbe Shabbos post Zionism more uncompromisingly than Satmar. So the Rebbe changed the Shita. He explains no. It's a well-written piece. The approach is changed, but not the Shita. So in Satmar, you have to know this also, that in Satmar, and the things changed already, but in the old days of the war against Satmar, Lubavitch was kosher until the Rebbe Rashab. If you get the Rebbe Zionist and so on, he's completely complete opposition. But the Rebbe Rashab, they read, they learn his stuff. Now it's all changed already. We had a guest in our home, a couple over Shabbos was talking about it yesterday. Satmar, from Williamsburg, lives Lakewood now. He came to us for Shabbos, him and his wife, for whatever reason had to be here. So he said to me, after Shabbos, he didn't speak a lot because he had to go somewhere. But Moishe Shabbos, he spoke, just to tell you, this is younger man, he's in his 50s, he's sitting in Koilel already since his marriage. Before that, his whole life is all Ishal Torah, doesn't have an iPhone, even a smartphone, so he doesn't know what's happening in the world. His whole, for 50 years, is Torah. I give shiurim now, he's in Lakewood, he learned in Brisk for 15 years, and he was in that, and Yeshivas Nech Yisrael, born and bred in Williamsburg. His father-in-law was Choshev Satmar, members of the Satmar Kehillah in Montreal, very Choshev Yid. She said to me two things. She's having an MTC, you heard where I spoke, Shabbos נחmo. He said, I live in a very cloistered world, you know. I know the learning and the shiurim that I give. So I came here, I felt Mashiach in the air. He'd blown away, his wife's blown away even more. Completely blown away from what they saw. When I told them, most of the people here, not everybody is, Bali Tshuva, what? He said, yeah. He said, I mean, and then he tells me these words. This is, okay, he's not right-wing Satmar, he's light. But still, his father-in-law is like, seriously Satmar. So he tells me that, and Chaim knows this very well in up north, dealing with these Ingalite. He says they need the Chassidish world doesn't know Chassidus, they don't know. They're just thirsting for neshama. He says, you guys, Chabad, you learn Chassidus, you have the soul of Yiddishkeit. We have to, these are his words to me. He used to go to Chaim Shalom-Deitch in Chaim Shalom-Deitch in Yisrael, Babich and Mashpia. He once went to Fabrengen of Yoel. Oh, the main thing is his father-in-law, who's really the head of the Satmar Kehillah. He says he listens to Chabad Chassidus on, I don't know if it's YY or others, he listens to Chassidus. And when he heard that we're staying by you, he says, he was so happy. It's a different world from the 70s. And I'm telling you about the whole Gimel Shurs and the whole war that was. So just to finish the story, so this was, to round out the story, this was Shabbos, Satmar. Thursday night, without going to the whole story, we were in Camp B'nai B'rith, seeing some children from Ivar, just lost their grandfather, we know the parents of some of the children. When we visited the south, Kibbutz Be'eri and Kibbutz Re'im, as I brought my tefillin there, so first of all, I meet right away, so the second guy you meet is one of the machas there, who he uses. He's one of the shlichim, sent from whatever it is. So I told him, Kulanu shlichim, we're all shlichim. He says, you must be Chabad. Such Kulanu shlichim. So yeah. And I said, I'm holding tefillin, so that's for sure a giveaway. Chabad. Let's put on film. Yeah, sure. Then we go to the lakefront. All the kids are there. It's a pre-Shabbos concert. And Mahula, they're dancing. The kids were lining up to put on film. Kids were lining up, not just the Israeli kids, the Canadian kids. One's bringing the other. Neshamas on fire. And I'm putting on film on all the boys, and it's one out till Shkia, one after the other. It became like 6 o'clock. So one after the other till 8:15. I'm seeing that the Chama is surrounded by a gaggle of girls. So the corner of my eyes, she must know them. I don't know these kids. It's all animated conversations. So then afterwards, we're going back. So, who are these kids? I don't know. She's not before. So what? I know they just came around me, a whole group, and they just, what happened here? They see a Jewish woman who emanates, neshama, and they just want to be part of it. They just wanted to be in the orbit. At one point, I said the hands were on their shoulders. They were all, and they were just looking at נחamo. She's talking to them, and I don't know, they're singing. I don't know what they were doing. So the extreme Satmar and Kapnei Brit, this is what's happening today. Neshamas on fire, looking for Chassidus, the Eibishter, and that Safatis Mayonas has never been more possible, and never been more urgent. In these last critical moments of Golos, and the Rebbe, the Rebbe has never been more popular, sought out, read about, his messages, the clarity, the depth, the big picture, the individual picture of people's lives. This is why the Eibishter made the internet before Mashiach, to get the message out to so many quickly. Shoin, back to the Maimer. Very inspiring Shabbos, Thursday night, and then this. In his words, he said twice, I felt Mashiach in the air here. In Lakewood, in my base medrash, I didn't feel it, he says. He tells me. Here I feel it. Okay, so now the last lines there, she says, the last lines of the Maimer of Veeschanan is a bigger order of the Rebbe. We'll try to understand it. Let's go. So he's saying that on Shabbos there's even a madrega higher than matnas chinam, and through which we can bevattle all the gzeiros, including the gimel shvuos, the chenti alona bagola didan meiredik. Sure, that Yidden can push for the end. All hagbolas are off. With this expression, all is off. What's the expression? All expression.
Bets. All bets off.
All bets off. What does it mean? It means this, no? Whatever. This is happening. There's no, now, so the shaila is now the order 7. So, I think the Rebbe is addressing over here. This is Ksabjat Koche from the Rebbe. That he's saying Shabbos is a darga higher than matnas chinam. That's what the whole thing of Shabbos, matana. It's the whole Maimer till now. The end, this is a higher darga, and bevattle all the limitations. The Eibishter's oath, the gimel shvuos Yidden. So let's have a look at the order. And then order 44. So he says, so the 10 expressions of tefillah, which we learned about earlier in the Maimer from the Medrash, what does that correspond to? And we just remember, there's the darga of Veeschanan, which is part of tefillah. Then there's the darga of Veeschanan, which is higher than not part of the Esel Shenishal tefillah. Yes? If you're not with me at any point, we can't go further. Yeah? So the Esel Shenishal tefillah, Esel Spirits, a concept of the Esel Spirits. Well, the highest darga of the Esel L'shonis of tefillah, Veeschanan, is that's Veeschanan as it arich. Keser, but what darga? Arich anpin. That's the highest darga of what? Of Veeschanan as it's part of Esel L'shonis of tefillah. Then there's the higher darga, matnas chinam, higher than the darga of Veeschanan. That's Keser. That's the pure kesed itself. But what level? L'chol hayose atik. Atik. Atik Kadisha Atik. Hashayach, which is still connected, mislabish be'adich anpin. It's still connected to adich. And then he adds Ovid Naicha. Ovid Naicha means you don't give a gift unless someone did a favor to you. So it means it's a darge or avedis atachten still has a connection. Even the darge of what? Of Atik. It's still some connection, still not mamish pure grace. That's Mevatl is going on to say all akbalas. There's still an element of you have to be worthy, and there's still darges. Ovid Naicha. You don't give a gift, take a gift. He didn't earn it, but he did give you some nachas ruach. Person doesn't give gifts, some in the Welterei. And that's a madrege of shvur, of an oath, mislabeshes umashbia, and likewise the level of shvur. That's the point of it. God swore that Moishe shouldn't go in. God, the Gimel shvur made us swear that we're not going to end the golus and force the end if we have to. So what's shvur? It's also darge connected to ishtarshalus. Shvur mislabeshes. Shvur is invested umashbia and satiates. As eser hakoiches. He's referring to the neshama shvur, mashbi noisa the neshama makes before it comes down the mata. So what's the shvur? That's Tanya, right? The shvur is it satiates and gives koyach to what? To the echsa koychas lakayim to fulfill. Who's fulfilling? Shehei makayim. The echsa koychas hanefesh as a mitzvah. So the darg of shvur is a level connected to what? To the echsa koychas hanefesh. Are you following all this? All to say that even the darg of shvur. God takes an oath, it's irrevocable. No, it's connected to, that's a kichas hanefesh. He's still connected to Kabbalah. Now he's going to answer the singing of Shabbos now. He walks out now. There's a higher madrege. When he gives to another person, not to someone who, not based on the chayr, saying here, not based on did a tov to him. Meaning, I'm trying to understand this. He's giving to someone that's really him. In brackets, bedugmas, underlined. It's in italics and underlined. Vayjois is similar to, but even more than, adifes matana lazeh sheroy leroisha. It's even greater than giving a gift to someone that would inherit you anyway. So you already have this intrinsic connection. So this is a darg of yivchalon. Chida comes from the deepest place in the person that's beyond all hagbalas. He seems to be saying here, when you're giving a gift, not based on the person's avodah, high even in someone that inherits you. Similar, but he's saying that this is higher than giving a matan lazeh sheroy liyarsha. The fact that he inherits you means there's this intrinsic connection. You give matana to him. This is different than a matana to anybody. It comes from a much deeper place than a gift to anybody else because he could inherit you. Now he's saying that there's a darge matana that's even higher than that. Yivcharlon, pure bchira. God shows us. This comes from the etzem mamish. I think he means that why is Eibusha Beicher in Yidden? Because the Shams HaMushish and Atzmos. So he gives to this person that's really him. L'chayra is invoking the level of the Shams Mushish and Atzmos. Atike Kadisha Shalamani Misapshus Adich Anpin. This is pure Atik, higher than the way it's invested in Adich, which is the level of what? Of Matnas Chinam, Gimel Reishin the Ak, the three higher levels of Ak, Ulamanim is even higher. Namish Atzmos, Gemanu. All to say, therefore, no Akbal is here, no limitations. Therefore, can break a shvur. The Eibush the shvur he gave us. You get the general idea. I hope I'm learning Shat correctly, more or less. Now, benigla, everything has to have a source in nigla yeshloimer. Hafora shvur. There is in nigla that an oath can be revoked. And he says, see Baba Basta. What's the Maisa? The famous Gemara there. The Gemara brings all these stories of Rabbi Bachana, 21, the 17 stories with him, and another total 21. These fantastic stories, the whole Svarim written on, are they Misholim? Are they literal? Are they not literal? You ever familiar with this? It's pages in Gemara Baba Basra of stories, things that he witnessed in his travels. Being in the eye of a fish that was like an ocean. So many stories. So at one point, I think this is the first story. He hears the Eibishter bemoaning the fact that he swore that you didn't have to go into Golas. So when he came back and reported this to the Chacham, they told him, they were very critical of him. Why wouldn't you make for the shvur? You could have nullified it. So we see that there you can even what? Nullify a shvur of the Eibishter. Next, another raya nigla that even a shvur can be broken. This is all to explain that the Eibishter's oath that he made us make, can be transcended when we draw on the level of what? Higher than mataschinim even. Which he says, Pnimius Atik and beyond all Akbolas. Another raya. Tshuva Mayila, I feel often shvur. Person took an oath in vain. Or he violated his oath. He can do tshuva and fix it. We see in halacha that there's something higher than shvur. And finally, a third raya. Hatzivui benigla. There's a commandment in Nigla that altis yosh min aparonos, a person should never give up hope that he can be saved. See Pirish Rashi Ovis, I didn't look at the Perik Aleph. Who belay akbola. It doesn't say, but if there's an oath, Abraham made an oath, then you should give up. There's no limit. Altis yosh min aparonos. Then the question is that we said before the holy of Shabbos is matana, and that we're saying that Shabbos is higher than matana. And this could explain the language in the Gemara Shabbos. The Gemara says, if you give a gift to your friend, you got to tell them before. Likewise, the Eibishter told Moishe, you have to tell the Yidden, I'm going to give them the gift of Shabbos. But then when it comes to what the gift that he's giving, matana toiva, I've got a good gift for Shabbos Shema. So there's two darkness, matana stam and matana toiva. Till now we're speaking the Mayim at the level of matana stam. But there's a level of Shabbos matana toiva that's higher than all akbolas. Higher than Shavua. So Shnei Inyonim b'Shabbos, matana toiva. And his bar explains and then they tell us they can't. The Rebbe wrote in pencil, so it's got rubbed out. They couldn't see, where the second dagger. All to say, the Rebbe removing all hagbolas here, all limitations on God's oath, on our oath, and Mashiach now. That he's saying both milas. They wish to ends it. It's the ita. It's achishena. General idea, friends. So, what the takeaway from this is that even if there's a gzeira on a yid, an gzeira on the level of shvur, God's oath, they be told Moishe Rabbeinu, stop. Don't ask anymore. I swore. Don't stop pressing me. Ravloch, I'll taisef el ledaber elai. It's a gzeira. A yid is a kirch to mevatel the gzeira. It's given every Shabbos. That's the takeaway. And this Maimer is giving the koyach and this whole long ha'ara. And they was to prove it and the nigla. The mamshich it into the world in halacha. Meiridik. Ha'ara 44. It says in the Maimer, we can bevatel, drawing on this level of Haydn Stauschel, this Pnimius Atik, is the Dargas here, the Shlemailem is Tabish Barachan Bin, Gimration, well, the Mailim is and even high Chulu. This is Chulu. Yeah, that's what's given. This is the Matana Taiva that they wish to get, not just on Matan. So this is not bestir, which was said earlier. Mine was said at the end of the Fabrengen. So earlier, Rebbe spoke on this whole thing. The whole Fabrengen was on this whole Voeschanan. You look up and one of the sichas is look at the sichas Chelach of Dalet Mugge, based on the sichas and the Maimer. So it's not a contradiction, which we explained earlier in the Fabrengen. in the order 20, they bring it in order 20. If you in Teres Menachem, shematnas chinam eine me'ila levatl shvur. Even a matnas chinam can't break an oath, because that's tamat. That's tamat matana. In this Maimer now, the Rebbe said after the siches and after the Maimer, we're speaking. This matana tova, matana tova, no akbolas that can break even a shvur, the Eibishter shvur. Therefore, that's why the Eibishter asked Moishe, please don't invoke this, because you could break it. And I'm asking, please don't. But the Rebbe is saying the Maimer here, yeah, now's the time. Moishe Gil Rishon Gil Rachan. Now's the time already. Okay, you have on your phone the summary of the Maimer. It should be over here. Let me find it. I think we still have copies. Maybe it's amongst the pages you have. Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody please take a copy. Let's look at this. No. Okay. Yeah, but you have it on your phone. So let's have a look. As in my mod, okay, Voeschanan. I'm going to say just in English. Two pirushim in the word Voeschanan. Number one, matnas chinam, complete grace beyond tefillah. Second pirush, which tefillah means some degree of deservedness, engagement, avodah, and so on. That's the second pirush. Pirush HaMedrash Rabbah. It's one of the shonis, a ten shonis of tefillah, which means it's connected with the person and his chusim. So why does he use the word Voeschanan? Because he just uses the language of tachanunim. And we explained in the Maimar why. Because the fact that my avodah should have an effect, this itself is a matana. But at the end of the day, it does have an effect. That's the second madrega. Why kamoi? Because the poel yorotz and elyon is arichanpin is you manifested that avoid is negeya. He comes with his avoid. That avoid is because Yisrael decided. So it's both things, and that's the dat v'chetzenius hakeser. At that level, that's chshivus to avoid this order. And the Sifri, that's the first pirush. I'm sorry, this was no, I made two. Base pirushim, the first one's the lower one. Matas chinam, the lower one. Then the second pirush, the Sifri, the one I just described now, connecting to Arich, Avedis HaTachton is Negeya. We just use the language of Matas chinam for the reason I just explained. Follow? Base the Sifri, which is mamish, chinam, bakosh Matas chinam mamish. Because he feels that's the truth. His avodah is not worthy at all, and this is connecting to level pnimius hakesed with taka. Everything before, relative to that level, is all insignificant, and that is what is being mamshech. Matnas chinam, that's Shabbos. That's a way of matana. Shabbos is matana, and therefore the two lashonis is in between davening during the week and davening on Shabbos. Both have a union of Shabbos, but Shabbos during the week is still connected to avodah, and the matan of Shabbos is tachanun, there's avodah. Whereas the davening of Shabbos, there's no fixing anything, not even your avodas. It's matnas chinam. And this is connected with that he brings in the Torah that Moishe Rabbeinu wanted to pale this by Yidden. He wanted they should accompany them in going into Yisrael, an unconditional love of the Eibush, no matter what they do. God, the Eibush is bound up with them in a revealed way. Pure Yisrael de Le'ela. Matnas chinam mamish. Then the Rabbi not to say that this madrega, which is Tzemach Tzedek says in of Torah, Tzemach Tzedek explains, he wanted that Moishe Rabbeinu wanted that the Amshacha of Torah should be down here in this world, just like Tefillah, to make the changes. No, it doesn't mean the whole end of the Maimon. The end of the Maimon is the Eibush said at the end that he asked. First of all, he asked, but we do have Torah. So what do you mean was according to Tzemach Tzedek's pirush? He wanted we have Torah Lamata. So what do you mean it wasn't fulfilled? The answer is there's many dargis in that, in Torah, and having avoided tefillah before is even a higher dargah in Torah. But the end of it all was much nuanced at the very end that they don't even bring it. The end was that the Medrash Rabbah was even higher than the Sifri. Because the Medrash Rabbah is saying the fusion, it seems to be saying that, the fusion of both the Ita and Achishenda, the Maila Matana Toiva Mamish coming down where? All the way Lamata. And that's the Pearl Mamish. Pearl Mamish is for a year, there are no Gzedis. I mean, there are Gzedis. But you can mevatel it, and even the Bishashvur can be mevatel. This is given to every Yid, given to us, my dear friends, in this Maimer.